It's my honor to give presentation at TPS, and TPS is where I really started my serious photography way back in 2002, 2001 and 2, I think. So, and there's always I given few presentations, and this has come up rather unexpectedly. And what happened was that last month in December, I given presentation at no, on 4th of this month, 4th of Jan. I given not 4th. I don't recollect the exact date, but I given a presentation at IPS, and it was it's a physical meeting, and I was given presentation, and a lot of our members, they couldn't make it due to various reasons. So when our president, Dr. Ravi Kumar, requested me, why don't you give same presentations where our members missed and I can watch it? I said, it's my honor. So anytime for TPS is my honor to share my images or a little bit of knowledge, I can use the word, regarding photography, or especially in landscapes. So I create, and this is what I'm going to talk is about my journey in photography. Journey in the sense is not a physical journey that I've gone to Ladakh or gone to Sikkim or gone to Himachal. So I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is my inward journey in photography. And as I said, if as I said, photography is, as Socrates said, know thyself. Knowing yourself is about photography. Once you know about yourself a little bit more, so you show you in the photography. So know thyself is what Socrates said. And what I'm going to talk, so there is some disturbances coming. So can you unmute? Can you mute, sir? Whoever it is. Yeah. Yeah, can you mute, sir? Whoever it is. Because it's ringing in my eyes, so the flow won't be there. So yeah, exactly. And thank you. And so when I talk of photography, I'm not going to talk about the equipment or the lenses or technical terms. Okay, so I'm not competent enough to talk about the cameras or lenses when we have stalwarts like Ashok sir and everywhere in our group. So I'm not competent enough. So I'm not going to talk about the equipment, or I'm talking about my journey and visual language and the design, visual design. That's what I'm going to show what I'm going to talk. And basically, all of us are artists. Picasso once I said, I just read what Picasso said. Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. So if you take an example, that when we are children, if you're given a paper, white sheet with color pencils or crayons, what we used to do is that we used to draw two mountains, sunset, and the lake, and the birds flying. So it is inherently, it is there in our landscape, is there, inherently is there. And I'm sure all of us has done that when we are children, when we are in our younger days, that we are drawn mountains, trees, or especially lake, clouds, and sun setting or sunrise with the birds flying. That is, everyone has done that. So inherently, we are all, the landscape is there in all of us. But during the course of time, we grow up, and professionally or hobby-wise, we take a different journals in photography, and we are still trying to find a muse. Muse is what really attracts you, what you attracts to you. Okay, so that is what we are going to see. We're still a lot of people, they try in different journals, like, I mean, it can be fashion, portrait, or especially all of us, they try in different journals. But end of the day, pretty well inside you, this is what my muse, that is what my favorite subject. Yes, you can do different subjects, but whether back of your mind whether it is portraits or whichever journey. So that we have to concentrate on that. Professionally, it cannot be like that. But if you're, apart from professionally, if you're thinking photographer, what your favorite subject, we have to explore that, and you'll get the best results, because that's where your heart lies. So this is what I'm what I'm going to share, what I'm going to show some image. This is what a small introduction, and what I'm going to talk. And now I show some of the images what I presented in the IPF presentation. Saurabh? Share. Okay. Yeah, can you see? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the mountains, what we drew when we are young, with when we are children, that what we try to draw mountains. Once I found that in layers of mountains near the lake. So incidentally, it can be anywhere, but I talk about Himalayas. My journey is always at Himalayas, especially Ladakh, Spiti, and Himachal. So Lahul and Spiti, Ladakh, and northern part of Sikkim. So most of the images what I'm going to show, not most, all of the images what I'm going to show is from these regions. And why I go to these regions is that in our journey, we have to concentrate on one particular, I mean, all the great landscape photographers, they don't go around the world shooting landscapes. They concentrate on a particular places, like Ansel Adams. Most of his life he spent in Yosemite Valley. And Galen Rowell, he also spent most of it, though of course he traveled all across, but most of his time he explored Yosemite Valley. And I never been there, but for landscape photographers, I view it's like a paradise. So this is what Ladakh for me. Ladakh is my second home, spiritual home for me is Ladakh. So this is what I'm. This is shot at Ladakh in one evening, when you early in the morning, when you are just outskirts of Ladakh. I saw the lighting was perfect, and you can see the rays of, what you call aerial separation. That's a technical term. What we use, aerial separation of these mountains. And rainbow is always fascinates us. Rainbow is always fascinates us. And once we are at Tikse Monastery, I think a few years back, and it was very dull day, and we went inside monastery, and regularly what we shoot in a monastery, I done the shot. And as we are coming back, it is drizzling a bit, and it suddenly stopped. We can see the rainbow forming right in front of our eyes. These are all moments. We just capture these moments, are that we don't plan for. We can't plan for a rainbow, but the moment we had to capture it. So the rainbow lasted for a few minutes, and we are lucky to be here. And as Satish once always says,
Check.
right place at the right time. So this is one of them. I happen to be right place at the right time, and sometimes I get lucky with these kind of images. These are at near Mata Monastery. See, Mata Monastery is again near Lane. So that was in 2019. So when we went to Zanskar, on way back, we came back to Leh, and we were when we went to Mata Monastery, everyone went inside the monastery to shoot the monastery. But something in me was telling that wait, 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 wait. So that is emotional connect we have with the mountains. Something in me was telling, wait, wait, something will happen, some magic will happen. So I was sitting there, it was nothing, it's just a plain mountains and bright light. So I said, okay, let's wait. I mean, something, let's follow the inner self. So that is what always helps. Like, so that I just waited, and suddenly, slowly, the sun started setting. And in the fleeting moment, the mountains was well lit, and it was brilliant. It was, I can feel it. Oh my God, listening to yourself, inner self is the most important. So I waited, and that it lasted for a few minutes. And these are the one of the finest moments I had in Himalayas. And it was dance of light. It was like a dance of light, and always I really relish this set of images always whenever I hold exhibition. It, and it was always very close to my heart that evening, that images. This is at Spiti Key Monastery. And one trip, we went to a place called Kipper in the evening. Kipper is the highest motorable road in the Asia. I think in the world also, I'm not sure, but in Asia, this highest motorable road, that Kipper. And on way back, evening time, we are walking down. So because the light was good, and we are just walking down the backdrop of a key monastery, and the clouds was like again playing magic. So I was alone. I was walking alone, and I really enjoyed that evening. And I could get some beautiful patterns in the sky. And when I'm talking visual design, developing a style, it will come naturally. It will come naturally. It is not that you have to force yourself, you have to develop your own style. It is a very organic growth. As you evolve as a person, automatically the organic growth will happen what you should. So initially, we will try to take a postcard kind of images where we like and we like that. But your own developing your own style, it takes time. It takes time, and it takes time to. This should be organic growth. It's not force yourself. Read one book how to develop your own style and start from next day doing that. So that will be. It will become very very unnatural. If whatever you do in art, it has to come from within, and it is very organic. It will not come overnight. It's a very organic growth. This at Subarori, again we had a fantastic time in the evening there, and as sunset, and this where I, of course, I basically in all my photographs, I will not use multiple exposures or HDR and all. These are all single shots, okay? And I shoot what I see. So that's my I believed in that. Okay, I shoot what I see. Oh, so this again at a place called Dhankar in Himachal, and we are standing on top of the monastery, and the river there in the evening, and it was like God's own design. So I underexposed and got these forms. And the left side top, what you see is not a sun or moon; it's just a lens flare. So, but it added to the image, like it is showing as if it's a sun or moon. It is there and all. It's just a lens flare, but I didn't remove it because it's adding drama to the image. This is at a place called Moonland, and Moonland is a very unique formation in Ladakh, and they have beautiful formations. And always, a lot of people misnomer is that for landscapes, always you should use a wide angle. Yes, of course, wide angle is important, but for me, more than wide angle, I use medium tele and tele. That's where I can find the shapes and the forms in that image. So if you see my images, always it will be in mid tele range. So if I use wide angle, you are showing whole thing. So, but what I want to show is what I really interesting to me. So this is what I use. Most of my images I use medium tele. Yes, sometimes we do allow the capturing the mountains in actual form, like So of course, this also I'm using medium tele, and a place called Kinnur Kailash in Himachal. So this is, this is one of the most beautiful places in Himachal is a place called Kalpa. All I had to do is I just walked out of my hotel, hardly 100 yards or 50 yards, and you can see all the range of mountains. And the sunset time in, believe me, in sunset time in September, October is absolutely beautiful. You feel that you can see that the mountains turning into gold and the clouds formation and the shapes in the mountains. And it's one of the easiest to reach, but one of the most beautiful images you can get. It's a place called Kalpa in Himachal. So again, see, landscape means not just, there are so many other genres of photography in landscape. See, not just showing the place. Sometimes you have to use an abstract genre, or when you use portrait. When you're using uh, portrait mode, also landscape. Not always you have to shoot landscape mode. You can do it in portrait mode, but this particular one is abstract. So again, a reflection of mountain in the lake. So it can be, so that's why different genres of photography come into landscape also. So this is the beauty of landscape photography. And I love that evening when who was with me, and I think that day, yeah, we had one of the finest 20 minutes again near Sumarori Lake in Ladakh. This is again at More Plains. More Plains is a 50 miles, 45 kilometers of flat land at the altitude of 15,000 kilometers, 15,000 feet. And this image, this was normally, previously what I was doing was that I was shooting only the formations. They're very graphic. Okay, so the light and shade, it is giving a lot of drama into that. But I thought if you add the small stream, that river, I forgot the name of the river, the small stream it is going, if you add that into there, it gives you much better perspective to the image, different perspective to this image. And that's why I added the river, which is flowing near the formations. And the lighting always, evening time, the lighting is magical there. This is at Stakna Monastery in Ladakh. What happened was that day, I visited this monastery quite a few times before. But once we go there, we get different kind of images. And this time, one of my friends and two of us went to Stakna Monastery much earlier. And we are walking. We went there, we shot some images and came back and waiting for the light. And that day it happens to be like, so bit cloudy and light was playing hide and seek, hide and shade. So that day I was watching, and this is a bridge across river Indus, Sindhu River. So this river was across Sindhu River, and Buddhists, they have a tradition wherever the water flows, or at lakes or rivers or high passes, they tie prayer flags. So according to, and they write prayer on the flags. So when the wind blows, they believe that the prayer carried into the wind. So it was very windy. So how to show that wind? Okay, you cannot photography. It's difficult to show wind in the photograph. So I thought if you add flags in the foreground, and it is where it is fluttering, it shows it's very, very windy. So the everything is static except the flags. So it is kind of the interpretation of static and uh, static and flags which are fluttering. So landscape is very, very dynamic subject. It's not that static. So a lot of people think, what is there? A mountain is there in front of you, you can shoot it. Lake is there in front of you, shoot it. No, it's not. Landscape is always a very, very dynamic subject. And if you're late for a few minutes, the entire scene changes, the lighting goes and everything. So always we have to be alert. And this is again a kind of an abstract of a lake, the reflections in the reflections and the mountains, and mountain reflections and the water. So always you don't have to use all the time the sky to in your landscapes. Okay, and these are all what you see, and what you're seeing. Seeing is something in front of you. It's only we have to see. How the seeing develops is that you have to think, evolve yourself, and to evolve yourself, to seeing, broaden your horizon. It's not just photography. The music plays important role, and the paintings, what you see is the paintings plays important role. The books you read, the the important role, and what you how you meet people, different people, and interact with you. All these things becomes a part of you. So that is how you start seeing things differently and develop your own style. As I said, it's very, very organic growth. It will not happen overnight if you meet few photographers or if you read couple of books. No, what you read, what you come across, you start putting into practice. That has become your style. This is again, see the emotion content, what connect with the mountains, what I was telling you before, is most important. See, one day at Nubra Valley, there's the place called Disket. The evening was okay, nothing great happened. We just shot a few images, and we're having a tea. We're having tea. Suddenly, I saw the light changed. The lights changed, and from far I can see the beam is coming out. And I was having tea, and immediately I left my tea and camera bag, everything. I just having uh, a camera. A camera was with me. I literally ran almost up to a couple of hundred yards, to meters, to outside the village because everything was obstructing the huts and all. So I literally ran to edge of the village and saw this beam is coming out. And at the altitude of 12, 13,000 feet, running, giving full sprint, it is not very safe. But thanks to my sports background, that really helped. I could reach there and just in time and took a couple of breaths and steadied myself and shot this. And the light was is coming out of the behind the mountain. It was very, very rare occurrence. And that again, the few minutes was, as I said, landscape is always dynamic. It's not static. See, if the mountains are there, light, everything is there, but the light is always dynamic. So that moment was that couple of minutes when the light beam was there. It was a short few images. And when I came back after the shoot, the villagers are telling they themselves were never seen this kind of light. Very rare it happens. So again, as I said, right place at the right time. But emotional connect with the mountains is most important to see all these things. Yeah, this is again at Gurdongmar Lake at Sikkim, North Sikkim. And this is one of the highest freshwater lakes in the world. Is almost at 18,000, 19,000, 18,000 feet. And I've been there quite a few times before, but always because of it is close to Tibetan border, the entry is restricted, and we have to go there only around 10 o'clock, not before. But my dream was always how to go there first light and shoot that lake. So, but after a few attempts, thanks to our friend Ishwar, his son-in-law was working in the army, so we could manage that, and we started from there. Prashant was there in the trip. Prashant also was there in the trip. We started from where we are staying almost at 12 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, midnight, to reach this lake. So by the time we reached this lake, it was around 4 o'clock in the morning. And being in northeastern part, the sun rises early. So when we got down from the lake, from the vehicles, it was in the month of mid-October or late October, which was very, very, very cold. The altitude of 18,000 feet, almost minus 10 degrees. And my dream fulfilled. And we had to get down from the where we start. So almost 100 steps we had to get down to reach the lake level. And again, I was so happy at that time, but my dream fulfilled. And thanks to everyone who helped us to raise my dream. But I don't think so. I haven't seen anyone who has images of early morning light at Gurdongmar Lake. This was one of the most memorable experience I had. Yeah, I mean, when we start photography, everyone will have some idol. So they'll try to follow them, and they try to get inspired. So one of my most inspiring photographers for me was Galen Rowell. And his style of photography was that, I mean, generally flowers in the foreground and the background with the mountains and lighting. So Then I started my landscape photography. So always I used to do that, what he was doing, what I was doing. So this is one of the earlier images where I was trying to kind of shoot like him. So again, if you're getting inspired is almost everyone should get inspired. But if you try to copy what they're doing, then it is not you who are composing. You are thinking of Galen Robel and you're not shooting for yourself. You are trying to copy something. So copying is something that will never is uh, going to succeed. For example, if suppose Sachin Tendulkar was a legend, after he retired, Virat Kohli came. So Virat Kohli never tried to bat like Sachin. He batted on his own. So it's always you have to find your own way. That is what Bruce Lee, whom I follow, nothing to do with photography. Bruce Lee says in Jeet Tornado. So you learn all arts, but you have to find out your own way. That's what finding out your own way, your own style is your success. That is where the success comes. So that's what this is earlier image where it's my tribute to Galen Rogel. So this is what, and this is where we have to find out your own way. So I realized after some time, if I'm shooting, trying to copy him, okay, very good. I get pretty images, good images, but what is my style? So again, it takes time to come through that stage. This again at Songde Monastery. Songde Monastery is in Zanskar is one of the most beautiful places. I mean, there's one of my favorite places there. And previous year when we went a bit late, and by the time the sun has gone down and it has become a bit dark. So again we went sometime next time. Again the lighting was not right. But third time when we went, oh my God, what a place it was! What a place it was, like and the down the fields and the river at the back, and the light was perfect for this kind of images. And if you see most of my images, you don't find sky unless it is very interesting. I don't add sky into the images because just for the sake of it, you shouldn't do that. Unless it adding to the image, I add sky into the image. This is again a kind of abstract river in the evening with the river, and it's like a river of gold. Liquid gold is flowing. So this one of kind of images where I enjoyed it. Nothing great about this, but I enjoyed this image, as if the liquid gold is flowing. This is a typical travel image where you see in the posters monastery in the backdrop of Himalayas and the foreground greenery. And this is a Tikse monastery in Ladakh. So a typical travel photograph. So I have nothing against travel photograph, but it shows the place. Basically, the travel photography is all about showing the place. Again, it's different. Recently, I shot this. Again, I thought how it will be like. This is again from Stangte Monastery in Zanskar. And the light, just a stick of light is adding to, it's not a typical landscape. It is something my own vision, what I thought. And when I was shooting itself, I thought this is what I want to be. So I thought about this image, and it's a totally different kind of landscape. This summary, again, I like this blue color background with the contrasty with the mountains behind. It is very interesting for me. And normally, most of my images, you don't find any animals or human element and all. Sometimes I do this. If you look at all these images, you didn't find any human element or any uh, animals or something like that. But this one, I liked it because I was standing slightly up, and the other photographers went down to shoot this. But when I saw this at the background, the mountain and the sheep drinking water, and the reflection in the water, and it gives you different layers. It is giving three different layers to the image. So that's what I loved about this image. Again, see, I have a lot of vertical images, but I don't show, especially in the presentations, is that if you see it in a print, vertical gives you different dimension. But if you see it in the screen, either laptop or phone, a lot of space is lost. So you don't enjoy it. So though I have a lot of verticals, but this is one of the verticals I want to show because it has three different, layers into this. Again, it's a different kind of image, like the shapes. I mean, when I talk of visual design, this is what I'm talking about. It's nature's design. So everything, the foreground and the background, everything is. I mean, how do you uh, think and how do you going to execute it? So it's not easy to shoot because the light was very contrasty, but I'm able to get it with a bit of experience, bit of that's advantage of digital again. Till we can experiment a lot. Had it been in the film, this image would have taken few film. At least a roll up too. But advantage of digital is we can experiment and you can what you're thinking you can put it into practice. And this is the Bra Valley Shoke River, and the evening time always is wonderful to shoot landscapes in Ladakh. I mean, anywhere for that matter, but Ladakh gives you that is a landscape photographer's paradise. If you're somebody is seriously interested in landscapes, there's no better place. I haven't traveled across the world, so I don't say, but at least there's no better place in India for landscape photography. So now coming back to monochrome, as I said, it is like in landscape photography only there are other genres. So this is the sand dunes, which makes very very interesting patterns. So it's the design again. It's nature's design. We haven't done anything because of wind. The sand dunes, it finds its own design. This again at a place called Namikla in near Ladakh only. Namikla, the place, and the background mountains and the animals gazing gives a sheer scale to the image. Again, this vertical, so but sheer scale it gives to the image, and this is where what we think. Showing this. The vastness of the region, and the design at the back, the mountains design at the back is something unbelievable. This again abstract. It's light and shade, so you can interpret whatever we feel like. But I love that the sun in the background and that sunlight and again that reflection is falling on that river. This is also something very very some totally different kind of images what I shot. Among all the images, this is the only image what I'm showing. It is almost a 30-second exposure, because we at Kalpa, as I said, is one of the most beautiful places, and without much effort, you can shoot beautiful images there of Himalayas. And this is where, and the moonlight, we are standing, and it was beautiful moonlight, and gave a 30-second exposure. You can see that the star, that 30 seconds, that star trails there. So, as I said, I see what I shoot, but to capture this, I had to give 30-second exposure. But normally, I would give half an hour, 1 hour to show that lines. This is because I'm trying to capture the moonlight. I had to do this 30-second exposure. Yeah, this is again abstract. If you tilt the image, you can see the face, or if you look at this, it's like you can see the hands. So this is what you have to. When I'm shooting itself, I knew this hands. I can see that formation. I didn't see the face. I didn't think of, but the hands part I can see when I'm shooting, and it is like a totally different Chandratar in Himachal. So this is what uh, this beautiful images what we can see, and beauty of the thing is that it's that's a beauty. I mean, I can't say this. This is very abstractish kind of image, but a lot of people like this when I showed this in the exhibition. And this is a final image. Hello.
Please go ahead. We can hear you.
I can hear. Yeah, I can see the image.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. So I thought suddenly this last. Yeah, this got me one of my most favorite image of all. And this is the story again. So we went to Pangong Tso, and I was never lucky with the Pangong Tso lake. So as we are going back, I was thinking, I mean, we come this far in almost 2 days, nothing happened. As we are passing through, one of my friends sitting there, we are passing the monastery. So I was thinking, I just praying to the Himalayas, like, so I mean, I was here for 2 days and show some magic. I really kind of emotionally, I was like, I'm just waiting. So this is then suddenly it was raining, drizzling whole day. Suddenly it stopped, and as we are approaching a small monastery nearby, which is they being built, the beams were coming from top, and I didn't see that. One of my friends was sitting in the front. He said, such as something happening. So I just got out of the vehicle and saw this. By the time I took out my graduated filter and a neutral density graduated filter and composite, shot it. I could shoot only 2 or 3 images. Again, the clouds cover. But I knew that this will be something special. Almost all images we can get if you go more number of times. But this, I feel that even if you go 100 times, I don't think so we'll get this kind of image. And this is where a short presentation what I prepared for the IPF is being shown. And thank you. If anyone have questions, I'm most welcome to answer. Any questions? Hope you enjoyed. And
Thanks a lot. That was a phenomenal set of images. We have seen play of light, play of shape, form, emotion. Absolutely amazing. And like Ashok sir is saying, no questions, totally spellbound. That is aptly put, I think. You know, and you need a special set of eyes, I think, to be able to see what you have seen in these locations. I traveled with you, uh, and by no means is it a simple task to just point your camera and come away with your lines of poetry in
thank you.
medium. Um, I think without a doubt, and others also will resonate with my feeling on this. I think we have just heard one of the finest landscape photographers in India. Um, Truly phenomenal work, and it's an honor to be knowing you and seeing your work. And I think you have rekindled that that fire and flame in all of us to be able to go and shoot in these beautiful locations. Um, but I have shared the same location, with you. But then the way you have shot the same subject and the way I shot, I mean, there is no comparison. I mean, the way you see the subject in front of you is absolutely phenomenal. And thank you so much for this really visual treat. The floor is open to questions, ladies and gentlemen.
Uh,
Um,
I think
Krishan Kalpat sir has a question in chat. When is the right season to visit Ladakh?
Uh, from January 1st to December 31st. Ladakh is 365 days destination. Only thing is the weather keeps changing. In winter, it is extremely cold, but it has its own cold. It's very cold. If you can take the cold, you get different kind of landscapes. But if you're going first time to Ladakh, I would advise going May, June, July. That's where when you find the clouds happening. So always clouds gives you a light and shade, and a light and shade, bit of rain, and all these things add to the landscape. So always, if you're going first time, it is always I prefer June, July is the time.
I think the next question I have would be.
And one more thing, let me continue. And
Yes,
see,
yes,
what is good season in Ladakh may not be good season in Sikkim. So, okay, so geography plays most important part in photography when you're going to, for landscape especially. The geography plays most important part in landscape photography. So we have to study. So what time, what will happen? See, suppose June, July, suppose May is, April is good in Sikkim. May, again, it starts raining. Okay, so June, July, Sikkim, if you go, it will be almost every day it will be raining. But Ladakh has different, weather. So we had to, before wherever we go, we had to plan, we had to go for as per the geography. Yeah, next one.
Sir, I have a question for you. Basically, every artist has a certain approach, certain way of handling the subject. They prefer to sometimes work alone. So when you travel to such locations, do you prefer doing this as a solo approach, or you don't mind people around you when you're working on the field?
See, Prashant, very good question. See, for me, if I work alone or if I with group, doesn't matter. Because when I'm in the mountains, my connection with the Himalayas is always one-to-one. So even if you had 10 people next to me, when I'm shooting, otherwise we have chat, we have fun and all. But when the time comes, it's always I and the mountains. So I don't get disturbed, So I don't get disturbed. So if I went, there are times I went alone and I explored also. That also is same. It doesn't make any difference to me. Okay, so always that we have to connect with the mountains. The emotional connect. That is where you show yourself in your photographs. See, as I said, you have to think, and always you have to emotionally connect with the subject. I'm not talking about Himalayas. Whatever genre of photography you do, that emotional connect is always, even if you're doing fashion, that if you treat a model as a object, so you don't get, you won't be successful. But if you treat that model as a subject of fashion, so you'll see it differently. See, in Himalayas also, a mountain is a mountain, it's a rock, okay? But if you see that as a subject and emotionally, if you connect with the mountains or spiritually or emotionally, it shows you see it differently.
So it is not an object in front of you, but it is a subject in front of you.
Subject, yeah.
So you're constantly engaging with the subject.
Exactly.
I remember when you said something, inner feeling was telling you to stay put in that place.
Yes, exactly.
And then you had a dramatic change of scene in front of you.
It was telling me, wait, don't go inside. Inside it was, I was just waiting. So that magic happened.
Yeah, that is something which is very innate to the artist, I feel, which cannot be copied or transferred. Or I think you will have to inculcate it as
it is. That's what, as I said, it's a very organic growth. Okay, so we have to evolve as a person, evolve as a individual, and it's very organic. Suppose if you read one book, how to develop your own style, and next day if you start doing that, it looks very, very it looks very, very unnatural. So you let it sink into you, let it practice. Slowly it will happen. This is a process. You should enjoy the process. And now that I'm a great photographer, I'm telling this, but it's a process. Still, I'm in the process. Not that I have my own this thing at all. It's the process. Process I'm enjoying that.
Right. Sir, I just have one more question. See, as a photographer, like when I am getting into a shoot, and I'm not very sure of every photographer goes through this element of uncertainty and fear that I don't know quite what I'm going to get out of this particular session, right? Um, do you ever have that fear in you, or like that element of um, uncertainty, what the weather is going to throw at me, or am I going to get come away with a good set of pictures? There's that basic anxiety. Do you ever experience that?
No, I never, Prashant. See, for me, being there in Himalayas itself is a great thing. Okay, so there are times I'm just sharing. I never disclose this. There are times I didn't shoot, though it was
Okay.
beautiful because I want to enjoy the place more. Okay, so there was time once I was early in the morning. We are at Sikkim in December. And at Yumtang, a place called Yumtang, and almost at 12 to 13,000 feet. And there are a group of photographers. When we got down from the vehicle, and all of them are ready to go. So somebody said the temperature is -4 or 5 degrees out there. So with that one word, almost myself and another sir, Vikram Devara sir, only two of us, or I think, one more person, I think, I don't recollect. Only three of us went out and shot that. But more than shooting, that day I shot few images. And of course, one of my cameras failed because of cold. But I didn't mind. I was there till the sunrise time, and it was phenomenal experience. And as I was walking back from the valley to the car, the snowflakes which were there on the ground, when the sunlight hit, they were like diamonds. They're sparkling. So it was there sparkling, and I walked for about 300 yards or 300 meters or something. As I was walking, as if I'm walking in a diamond mine. Okay,
Yeah.
everywhere the sun, that snowflakes were sparkling. So these are the experiences. These are the experiences which cannot be brought, which cannot unless you experience it. That was totally as if the whole mountains is like welcoming me, and I was feeling so blissful. So that was one of my most memorable experiences in the Himalayas.
Sir, at the risk of being called monopolizing your time, I just have one last question, and probably others can also ask it. So, in this long journey of yours, where the mountains have become a part of you and you have become a part of the mountains, how do you see how they have molded you over these years as an individual, as a character, as a personality? I'd like to really know about that.
As an individual, again, I had to go back to 2004. I told a lot of my presentations, they're right up whenever it comes in newspaper, this incident will be there. In 2004, the first time, not first time, but seriously, I went to Mount Kailash and Manas Sarovar in Tibet. So that's the first time we were getting exposure to high altitude, 13,000, 14,000 feet. So there's a place called Nailam. So Nailam is a place where you have to stay overnight. And in 2004, that was a very, very, very primitive village. Okay, there's nothing. I mean, nothing was there. Just something over our head. That's it. So what happened the day? Early in the morning, I got up. We had to stay there for a couple of days. So early in the morning, I got up and taking a walk, and just 2 minutes you are out of the village. Okay, so hardly few houses. Just 2 minutes you are out of the village. So I was just walking alone. I went quite far, and as I was coming back, I saw the first light hitting the mountain, the snow-clad peak. I looked it up. I saw that the mountain is becoming golden light. Entire the mountain, the peak is turning into golden. So something in me started like, something. I mean, whole thing has changed. My personality has changed. Everything has changed. That particular moment. So as I said, I found my muse. Okay, so that's the time it just happened. So that's the time, and since then, previously I used to go abroad, go to Europe and all these places for holiday and all. But that was the last trip I went out of the country. Since then, only Himalayas and Himalayas. I didn't go anywhere.
Lovely, lovely. Saurabh,
Yeah.
next question. I don't want to monopolize.
We have one question on YouTube from Raja Jain.
Okay.
They're asking, sir, do you need to prepare to present your images?
Prepare. See, this time, I have set of images. Most of my presentation I used to do, but this time I brought in a lot of new images which I didn't present before. So see, all put together, my database is very, very less because only Himalayas I do, and Himalayas also I choose, and this set of images, yes, I had to prepare. Without preparation, we cannot show our images. I hope everyone enjoyed my images. Something different I tried,
Very
and
much,
I
sir.
hope everyone enjoyed my images.
Very much, sir. Looking at your images is always a delight for us.
And why? See, normally when I giving presentation in IPF, I was telling that so in every field, so much negativity they are showing, this earthquake and this devastation, this war. Of course, they're all documentary which gives a lot of hope to. I mean, it gives a lot of uh, help to the people who are really sufferers, and we realize what's wrong with the world. But there has to be some positivity also in our life. There's a lot of things positive in our lives. So it is small way if my images can and show that positivity to the world. I'm doing it to my own contribution to the entire whoever is viewing. If they feel positive for a few seconds, I feel I've done my job. So that is my way of seeing things. That's why I present only. I mean, that's why Himalayas is my favorites, and always Himalayas gives you the positivity. It's so. In my own small way, I try to contribute to positivity across the world.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, sir, I agree.
Satyaprasad,
Yes,
Satyaprasad, I got two
sir.
questions.
Yes,
If
Satish.
not for if not for me, at least for general public.
Okay.
So usually we carry only polarizing filters most of the time for landscape. So
Okay.
I don't think landscape photographers they will never forget polarizing filter even if they forget their cameras at home.
Oh,
So it
I
is
know.
like that.
Okay.
So, how do you place which is important, the polarizing filter or the ND filter? Though it is used at different situations, not always together. And the
Okay.
second question is that most of the time for landscape photographers, we are uh, we like to use our tripods most of the time, given the chance, 99%. But
Okay.
certain situations, what you have taken, it is fraction of a second that light changes. So that time mounting on camera, camera on tripod and putting filter and checking up the exposure is not at all possible. So handheld is the only solution. So what do you prefer?
Yeah.
Handheld or the tripod or things like
Yeah. See, first question, Satish, about the filters. See, if I use polarizer filter at higher altitudes, what happens is it becomes unnaturally blue. Not only blue, it almost becomes like a blackish, the sky. So I try to minimize that polarizing effect if I'm using polarizing filter. But for me, without graduated neutral density filter, I feel I'm totally lost. So with, I mean, 90% of my images I use with the graduate neutral density filter. Of course, we can do it in post-processing. That is always option. But getting it right on the spot is something that satisfaction is totally different, according to me. So I use a lot of my images for graduate neutral density filter. And whenever it is necessary, I use we have bright clouds coming out. All that time, yes, I use a polarizing filter. Regarding the tripod,
that? Okay, okay.
second question, what you asked about tripod, a lot of conventional photographers, or if manfrotto sees me, they may not, they will, they'll be shocked. I never use tripod unless I'm giving you long exposures. All the images, what I shot, except that way that you can see the moonlight, all of them I shot with the handheld. All of them I shot with the handheld. For me,
Okay. Hmm.
what I feel
Hmm.
is that a tripod restricts your creativity. So you have this
Absolutely,
hand.
that's what I felt. Yeah,
Yeah, it restricts your creativity. Once you are handheld camera, see the why the tripod concept came is when people are using 24 ISO and 64 ISO. That's the time the tripod for landscape photography get good depth. And to get the good depth, you have to use 11 or 8 or something. That's the time the shutter speed is to go down. So that's the reason why the tripod became a kind of necessity. But with the advent of technology, when you can shoot, suppose if you're having a good camera, you can push it up to 3200 ISO without any issue. So without, and you can't find make out that you shot at 3000. With the advent of technology, the dependence on tripod will come down. But a lot of people say you always use landscape for photography tripod. It's really, really restricts your freedom and your thought process. So I never use, I won't advise anyone to, I'm not advising not to use tripod, but for me, a tripod is more of an obstruction than a helpful, except in the long exposure shots.
yeah, correct. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. A lot of people may not agree, but this is how I feel.
Yeah. Satyaprasad sir, Hardik here.
Yeah.
So I've been seeing your images, the planes or be it webinar or something. But today, this is what I understood that. I mean, this is to everyone. This is what I want to share. That if you really want to learn more from today's presentation,
Okay.
I hope this presentation will be there on the YouTube, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
back to
there.
the
It's there.
YouTube. Go back to the YouTube,
Yeah.
but do not look at the images. Close your eyes and just concentrate on Satyaprasad sir's voice. I guess there's lot much, the moment he's started his presentation, he mentioned something called inward journey. I guess that is the whole crux of this presentation. I think, and we should really go back. We should not look at the images once, but just concentrate on his voice, what he's the way he's taking us through. So I guess that is something we should try. And there's so much because once we start seeing images, definitely we just go dive into that. But then again, sir has so much to share, not just in terms of technicals, but about the life which connects back to the photography. So that is what is takeaway for me. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful talk and presentation.
Thank you, Hardik, and thanks a lot. So I mean, I'm sharing what I learned. Okay, so I learned. I mean, it's a journey. Again, it's like it's not. It didn't happen overnight. This is a process which I'm started in 2004, and I'm still in the process of learning and enjoying my journey. So unfortunately, last 2 years, thanks to pandemic, I couldn't make it to Himalayas. I desperately wanted to go, but so all the time, whenever we are ready, again something is coming up. So hopefully I'll visit the Himalayas and inward it is burning inside me, so I should visit. I mean, sometimes I close my eyes, I can see the mountains, So it just happened. I just praying that whole thing is settled down, and I think I plan to go in March. Let's hope we can go. I can go in March.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hardik.
Hardik, Hardik, I will do that exercise what you said, and
Yeah.
I will tell Mr. Satyaprasad has got a Helen's voice.
uh, that I guess you should really try that, because the reason why I got that thought was because I was actually doing some work also. So on and off, I was looking at the screen and I was doing something else, but then I was constantly just hearing him, So if maybe I would have been watching the whole presentation, then I would be thinking about the images, okay, light and composition and everything. But then it gave me a chance to just listen to him. I guess you should do a podcast, sir. So you should really, you know.
Thank
Uh,
you, Satish. Thanks for last year inviting me to IPS. I had a great time interacting with all your members. Thank you for the time.
Yeah, pleasure is ours, Satyaprasad, because hearing you at any time is knowledge sharing and a fantastic knowledge we get out of your talk and slideshows. We are an inspiration for all of us.
Thank you, Satish. You are the inspiration to so many photographers.
So there's a few questions on Zoom.
Yeah.
Manikant is asking, second picture in black and white. Please share your experience showing cattle and mountain shape in one pic.
Yeah. So that's that is near. I'll show that image. Okay. So this one you are talking about, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir. I think.
This one. Yeah. So what? See, basically, it is I want to show the vastness of this region. Okay, and the mountains at the back has its own beautiful. The textures. See, the textures are fantastic, and this image was beautifully processed by Shrikant. Okay, he is a master in Photoshop. So he beautifully processed this image in black and white, and this image, and it is like the foreground, the mountains, the sheep are, I'm not sure, yeah, sheep gazing. It is giving scale. So normally I don't use scale in the images, in my images, because I want to show what it is like. But this particular one, it's added, it's because of that animals grazing, it's given totally different scale to this image and the vastness of this image. So that's why the vertical, it is showing that it is taking you from down to up. Okay, so this is what this image does.
Thank you so much, sir. I think your explanation cleared it.
Yeah.
Oh, sir, another question on Zoom from Krishnan Kalpat, sir. They
Okay.
asked, how is the oxygen level at that height in Ladakh?
See, oxygen level is this is basically it's a psychological. Okay, so touchwood, yeah, touchwood. Whenever I went to Himalayas or Ladakh, high altitude, I never felt anything. But the thing is, we had to take a lot of precautions. We had to take a lot of precautions. Number one is that keep drinking a lot of water, right, from at least 2 days before the journey start, and avoid alcohol, and don't think that at high altitude I'm going to fall sick. It's all mostly it is psychological. I'll tell you one example. Once one guy who's coming with us is a youngster, a very fit guy, looks very fit, and he goes for gym and all. Is you can see he can easily gym guy, and he was having a lot of fun. He was talking in jolly, and he was talking, and at one point of time there is a small board which says that you are at 14,500 feet. The moment he read, he said, "Oh my God, 14,500 feet." Within 5 minutes, he fell sick. It is all, within 5 minutes, not joking, within 5 minutes, he started, the head is going round and he stopped and he puked. So that it is nothing but it's a psychological thing. Till that time, he was absolutely all right. The moment he saw the bird, that board, within 5 minutes, he fell sick. So that is all psychological. So we have to be positive all the time. We have to be positive. Nothing will happen. At the most, one day we'll have a headache and that's it. Nothing will happen. But we have to stay positive and take precautions, So don't overdo anything. Just when you get acclimatized, don't overdo anything. Just be normal.
Sir, this is a question from me, sir.
Yeah.
Do you do anything to get acclimatized before you go back to Ladakh? Or
No, nothing. You be normal. That's it. Only thing is, when you go into Ladakh, at least 2 days before, you have to start drinking a lot of water. You have to start drinking a lot of water and avoid alcohol if possible when you're going. Okay, so when you're there also, you try to avoid alcohol. So that really helps you. Once you acclimatize, yes, you can have once in a while. But when you're going there, you be normal, absolutely normal. Don't overstrain yourself. And just because when you're at this altitude, don't try to run or rush things. Slow down a bit. Excuse me. Slow down a bit. Everything will be normal.
okay, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think there's no more questions. The
Yeah.
rest of it is just prayers for your work and your talk right now.
Thank you.
I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for giving an opportunity, and thanks for attending. And it's always my pleasure. Been I don't say interacting with the TPS members, and the TPS is very close to me. And whatever I'm photographer now, thanks to TPS, almost 20 years back when I became a member, so I could have a chance to interact with a lot of senior photographers and interact with them, and I learned so much from interacting with these members. So always my indebted to TPS. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you once again for such a lovely interactive presentation. Always a visual treat when we look at your work. I request Dr. Ravi sir to say a few words before we end the session.
So good evening again. I have been to some of these places where these pictures have been shot, and I can tell you that the scene there is much, much more awesome. So that feel has to be there. As Mr. Satyaprasad has truly said, you get a very good connect with the environment first before you even shoot your first frame. The second thing is, what I found in those areas, I did a road trip right from Srinagar, Kargil, Dras up to Lamayayu and Leh and beyond. That was almost a week-long road trip, and we had every minute the scene changes. So you need to just get connected to the environment. You may or may not shoot, but you enjoy the place first. Your first frame may be the best frame at the end of 8 days. So that is how it is when you shoot the Himalayas. I've also been 3 times to Switzerland. I shot a lot of frames in Alps, but I could never find such beauty that you find in the Himalayas. So
True,
the
sir.
Swiss,
True.
the Swiss Alps are very the very modern type of thing. The Himalayas have a long history. You can feel it when you go there. So, and that feeling which you get when you are there has been brought out in so much, depth and life in these pictures that once you've been there, only you can feel how much true what I'm saying is. Thank you very much again, Mr. Satyaprasad, and we would look forward to more and more of such work. And I think we can wind this. There was one question about the acclimatization. So there are some medicines available which you can start a couple of days before when you start, and that will bring down the speed of acclimatization to a day. You don't need to go beyond 1 day for acclimatizing. There are some drugs available which you can start a couple of days before you start climbing up. The other way is to get acclimatized is to travel by road to higher and higher places over 2 to 3 days. You get automatically acclimatized. The third thing is medically most important. Everything has to be done slowly. Your physical activity. The moment you suddenly jump and run around, your body gets decompressed, and fluid starts filling up in your lungs, and your heart gets loaded with excess fluid. So that is the medical component that you get when you don't get acclimatized. So everything has to be done in a slow fashion for physical terms. So most of the time people just lie down in the hotels for a day, just rest. And almost all hotels, they have oxygen booths. So it's a routine for them. And we were surprised that all hotel staff are trained in CPR, and the army hospital there, which I went and saw also, is fully equipped to take in all walk-ins 24/7. So you are always safe. And there is always a helicopter ready by the army to even take out civilians if you get into pulmonary edema because of high altitude non-acclimatization issues. So you're always safe there. So I think you should try and make a trip and feel the Himalayas for yourself. So I think with that note, I think we can close our meeting today. We had an excellent time, and we'll remember this meeting for a long time.
Thank you.